All right, here we go. Oh, I was going to show you. Back there, can you see by my computer chair? There's a suitcase way back there that's got a drum in the middle of it. Oh, wrong. Back here. Right there. Yeah, it's one of the crafts I did with Damon, who made a suitcase drum for me. Oh gosh, I've entertained myself so much this summer. It's been wild. All right, so let's pick up where we left off before my technical problems last week. So we're going to do a little review of some of the chords and talk about Crazy G. The foundation, I think, was set pretty solidly for you guys in the first week, where we had the vamp part and part one and talked about the rhythm. On one bar, you've got mostly down strums, and then on the next bar, you've got like an island strum, and I wrote like on, off, on, so that you could feel the difference of the fingers. It's surprising how, like, you just make it like that, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. So let's do a little warm up just on chords. Okay, so what I want you to do is make your G6 chord. I'm just going to hold my fingers up here so you can follow along. Yep. So G6, oh, G6. Now go down to G diminished. That's right. Yeah, you just slide it down to that first fret. Whoop. G6. G diminished. Yeah. Your standard D7. Yeah, so just 2020. So let's just cycle around that a little bit. G6, G diminished, D7. And again, G6, G diminished, D7. Now we've also got the fancy D7. We get there however we get there. Got that pinky that has to go up to the 5th fret on string 1. You might be able to make it. You might be like, oh, my fingers! Okay, well then how about like that? And you just strum 3 strings. So you decide how you're going to get there. Whatever gets you there is good enough. No one's going to come knock on your door and say, hey, I saw that you were playing Crazy G the other day in your house and you didn't play the appropriate chord shape for that fancy D7. No one's going to do that. So we don't care. All right, I'm going to go through that vamp a few times, and it's going to be, actually, I'm not going to do the vamp yet, just the chord, sorry. G6, G diminished, yeah, right on, D7, fancy D7, however you get there. Okay, back to G6. I like how it's all the same bunny ears fingerings, right? D7, fancy D7. Good. Or fancy D7. Or if you hit the 4th string while you're doing the D7 and you're like that, it's not the end of the world. You could also do this and just do a D chord. That'd be okay too. Now I've sucked these fingers away so you can see. And this is just more like a reminder kind of thing. You could do a D bar chord there. That would be okay too. But it can feel kind of tricky to get up there, hey? Because you've got this rhythm in there is down, 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 D7, off, off, on. So it can be hard to go. You decide what works for you, okay? So in the end, you can do the D7 like that, or if you want to play it like a D and then just prepare for that, that's okay. See what works for you, okay? All right, so quick quiz here. G6, show me your G6 fingers. Yeah, right on. G diminished. Uh-huh. Your regular D7. Look at you guys go. And the fancy schmancy D7. Oh, look at that little stretch there. Oh, look at you guys. Oh, right on. They're true confession, this version that I put up on the website, you've got the level 2 version, right? It is missing a chunk. And I purposefully left it out because that's going to be the final boss version, and it uses a lot of stretching with the pinky. I wanted to show you how you could play it without that part, and then you can tuck that part in whenever you feel like it. Okay. All right, so we've got that vamp. Now, the next part, we've got the G to G6. Oh, Diane's got her compression glove. I am using my compression gloves like crazy. Look, I got one in my pocket right there. It feels so good. You can start to see more and more people. You're like, ah, that's a compression glove. I recognize that. It feels so good on the hands. Okay, G to G6. And that's all about the second string. Do it again. G6. Now, the next part is we're going to go to G minor. Right, so you make a triangle this way. And the action still happens with the ring finger. So frets are 1, 3, 2. Strum your G minor. Yeah, and then ring finger goes off to make a G minor 6. Good. Yeah, go back to the G minor. And G minor 6. I'm watching you guys like a hawk. Okay, you got that going on there. So this is a review of the part 1. So I'm going to play I think everything here. I'm just gonna make my PDF a little bit smaller and I'll bring it up so you guys can follow along with it. There, you guys see that screen there? Yeah, okay, cool. All right, so vamp, play 2 times. So I'm gonna do the first line there. And I'll talk while I walk through it, okay? So vamp, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, G6, diminished, D7, off, on, and then again, G6, G diminished, normal D7, fancy. Okay, then part 1. And that's right here. I say play all. Left side is down strums, right side is the island strum. All right. Well, let's try that. So we've got G, and then I'll just say 6. So I'll go G, 6, G, 6. Otherwise, I can't say it all. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. G, 6, G, 6. So on is a full G, off is a G6. On, off, on. Yeah, let's do that line again. Ready? G, 6, G, 6. Now the on, off, on, and on. Ready? So G6, G. On is the full G chord. Off is taking that finger off to make the G6. Yeah, right on. Okay, so now let's go to the next line with the G minor. If you need to take a look at the chords, right up here, where I've kind of done a little highlighting. Woo, there it is. All right, so G minor, and then G minor 6, again with the ring finger. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. G minor, 6, minor, 6, on, off, on. Yeah, that's right on. Okay, now we go back to the G in G6. Here we go.
Excuse me for a sec, Tina. So is that the one where we have, tried to see my notes there, where we put the A string to a G?
No, that was for another.
Oh, that's
yeah.
sounding, okay, that's why I'm off. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, you never know about the tuning. With all the banjo stuff I've been doing, whoa, tunings everywhere. All right, so we're on line 3, and we know that line 3 is going to start off the same way as line 1 of this section, and then we're going to head to that D7, off, on. So let's go for that one. Here we go. G6, G6, here comes that B7, off, on. Okay, back to G6 now. So that's just with the 2 fingers. G6, 6, 6, G diminished, normal D7, island strum. 1, I tend to do, well, I hop around, pardon me, I hop around these days with the chord shapes for D7, but just keep it standard, you know? So I'm going to run through all of part 1 again. Follow along with me. Here we go. So the first time I kind of broke it up. This time I won't so much. 1, 2, 3, 4. G6, G6, on, off, on, G minor, 6, minor, 6, on for that ring finger, on, off, on, back to G, G6, G6, D7, off, baby finger, on, right on. Okay, now we're doing kind of a variation of the vamp. So 2, 3, down to G diminished, and then D7. If you want to do and stay up with the pinky finger on that D7, choice is yours, okay? With this section, you really get to know your G versus your G minor chord. And that G6 sound, like Kat was saying that the vamp sounded like the intro to Ain't She Sweet, right? It's a handy intro to have for any song in G, right? It's handy. So use these chords to kind of, you know, color up a song, right? You can see how they're going from a G to a G6 to a G diminished to push you to a D7, right? It sounds so cool. You can add that into a song, depending on the type of song. I mean, some songs, it'll sound wacky, but other songs, especially like, you know, the older jazz tunes, be fun. Okay, we're going on. Do, 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 do. Oh, more G chords. So on the next level, this is page 2, what we've got here is the G7. And then again, the operation is with your ring finger because you're going to be taking it off of the first string. So let's just, don't worry about all the chords here. I'm going to scroll that way so you can't see all the chords right now. Just make your G7 chord. Okay. And then G7 sus2, it's with that ring finger again. It's not on the second string now, it's on the first string. So make your G7 again. And then make your sus2, pardon me, sus2 by lifting off your ring finger. Yeah, okay. Don't worry about those 2 bar chords there. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Okay, so here's what we need to do. We've got our G, our G6, our G minor, our G6, G7, G sus2. It's all about the ring finger on every one. I just want you to have that kind of stuck in your head. Here's your G, G6, G minor, G minor 6, G7, G7 sus2. It's still that ring finger, right? Like these chords sound complex, but every time with these G's, you're just flipping that finger off and on. It's all you're doing. That's it, okay? So I want you to kind of just think about that even though it says sus2, it's still just the ring finger is where the action is. Okay, so I'm going to have a sip of coffee and I'm going to watch you guys. I want to see a G chord. Yeah, Kat's having a sip of coffee too, right on. And now a G6. Yeah, good. Okay, G minor. Yeah, good. G minor 6. So still with that ring finger, good. G7. Yeah, right on. G7 sus2. Just lifting lifting that ring finger. Right on, right on. Did you guys know your B flat chord? Yeah, good. Okay, so B flat's like this. You don't have to even go to the fourth string for this song if you don't want to. We're not going to use the B flat, but I want to just, because that's a common one in ukulele, I wanted to just start with that. You can make your chord like this if you want. Bar, strings 1 and 2, middle finger on string 3. Feel fancy? Feel like you can reach it? Fourth string with the ring finger. If you can play your B flat, you can play your B. And if you can play your B, you can play your C. And what I want you to do, and so variations, okay, so you got your C as a bar chord there. I often use a C bar chord these days. I like the sound. It's just got a nice sound. Okay, so let's say you're like, I don't know if I can do that bar, because see what I'm doing there is I'm making sure that those fingers are covered by the first chunk of my finger and it's not going over that finger crease. But I also, this finger feels pretty good. I don't have any flexibility issues with it today. But let's say I did. What if I went like that and played it without a bar? And just played 3 strings. It's all good. Nothing bad's going to happen. You decide what works for your fingers. I'm going to stay like this and watch what I do. C, B, C. C, B, C. So I'm releasing a little bit while I move. We're going to be using that in the level 2. So a little bit of bar chords. So much fun. Once you get the whole feeling of bar chords, especially if you just want to flip around on the 3 strings, adds so much color again. Okay, let's scroll on. We'll just walk through it a chunk at a time. I'll share what we've got here. I was gonna like keep the other part from you. I was like, oh, how am I gonna hide all this so you guys only focus on one thing at a time? You're grown-ups, you can focus on one thing at a time. We're gonna look at just this line here as it comes into, see how the sections is part 3? We just played part 1 and we're in part 3 now. That's because part 2, that's hidden away right now. You don't need to think about that part with the stretchy fingers. So G7, G7 sus2, G7, G7 sus2. So that's that. On is G7, and then off, yeah, G7 sus2, right on. So we've got this for that line. Sus2, G7, sus2, on is with ring finger down, off, on. Okay, we're going to do that a couple times just on that G7 line. So G7, and I'm just going to say off for the sus2 because it's kind of a mouthful. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. G7, off, G7, off. Okay, here we go. On, off, on. Yeah. It sounds so perky, hey? Let's take a look at that next line. We've got our C bar chord, however you get there. Now I have to say, if you're like, oh, I want to play a regular C and then make a B bar chord so I do less bar chords, you will find that very awkward. I would heartily suggest you do that little bar chord shape. In this part, just all down strums. C, 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 B, C. Okay, let's try that. Just on the little bar chord part with the C and the B. 2, 3, 4. C, 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 B, C, 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 C. And you can hear little slides. Listen. Hear that little slidey bit? That's totally cool. That's fine. You don't worry about making it all like super clean and crisp and everything. This should be a slidey, fun song, right? Okay, let's combine those 2 parts. I would say the trickiest part that you will find is probably going from the G7 shape up to the C. But you will find that you can lead yourself with your ring finger up to the 4th fret. I'm going to stop sharing for just a second and show you how I do that. All right, here I am on the G7. Okay, so that ring finger is my guide. Notice too when I do that, like I've anchored my arm on that ukulele pretty good, and watch this elbow. So G7. See how it tucks in? That can help. That's what we're aiming for. Okay, let's try it without looking at that chart. Here we go on the G7s. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. G7. Off. On, off, on, up to your C. Yeah, good. Here we go. Down to B, C. That's pretty darn good, you guys. Yeah! Yeah! All right. It's time for the A7. Now, here's the thing. G7 sus2 is with that finger up, right? Let's make your A7 chord. A7 sus2 is with that finger down. That's a very confusing, right? So that's where you need to be like, okay, sus2, sus2. That's why I tend to want to keep that chunk, the A7 chunk, a little bit separate. So let's make our A7. Yeah, sus2, G7, sus2, G7, sus2. Yeah. It's because that note there, that first string, is an A. If you're playing the G major scale, I'll just do the first 5 notes of it. G, A, B, C, D, 1, 2. That A is number 2 in the G scale. Okay. A7 sus2, the A chord, or the A scale, A, B, C sharp, D, E. That sus2 with the A7, A, B, that's a B right there. So that's why they're both called sus2s, even though they're different chord shapes. It's all about that second note of the scale. So that can be a little, if you know the reason behind it, then it gets a little easier to adapt to that labeling, but it's just important to go, oh, okay, all right. So all that said, make your A7, A7 sus2, G7, good, G7 sus2, G6. Do you remember that G6 still? Oh yeah, okay, good. G diminished. It's like some big heavy duty quiz here. Standard D7. The fancy. Good. Okay, G7. Yep. G7 sus2. Okay. C bar chord. That little C bar chord. Yep, good. Because you can go from that G7, use that middle finger, take the train up to the 4th fret station, and then boop, let your people off. B bar chord. That's right. Now these bar chords are named that because this note right here is a C, like your C chord. Therefore this bar chord here has its root name right there on that first string. And that's why this, down on that 2nd fret, is a B bar chord. So let's see your B. You're right on, and back up to C. Now, if you carry on a couple frets up, you'll have a D bar chord. It gets pretty fun. And then E. Oh, 7th fret is E. Okay, let's walk back home. 5th fret's D. And back to where we need to be. 3rd fret for C. And 2nd fret for B. Okay, A7. A7 sus2. Yeah, good. It's all those susses, man. They can wreck your brain. All right, so let's do... Oh, that's funny. In my part 3, I forgot to write down the sus2. It just says all these A7s. That's not right. It's this. It's the same pattern as the G7. You're just going to have to pencil in an S2. I'll try to update that PDF. On the page, I'll show you. On the page right now, it looks like you do all this hard work to get your A7 sus2 and then you don't even use it, right? Look at that. Ah, tisk tisk. So same pattern as with the G7. So you do an A7 and then a sus2. Okay, let's try that. A7 and then a sus2. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. A7, sus2, A7, sus2, and then to your D7. Oh. I did something wrong there. It should be the same pattern where it's off, off, on, on. I think I wrote up my words wrong. I will fix this. Off, off, on, and on. Off, off, on, on. Oh, tisk, tisk. All right. Let's go back to the top of that page where I know I didn't screw it up. Back on the G7. Here we go. G7, sus2, G7, sus2. On, off, on. C bar chord. Let's try that out. We're not worrying too much about like fancy schmancy rhythm here. Just getting yourself there. Yeah. I'm waiting to see everyone do that. The little C bar chord. Yeah, good. Yeah, okay. Here we go on the C's. C, 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 down to your B bar chord. Good. Back up to C. Down, down, up, down. Big jump to that A7. A7, sus2, A7, sus2, D7. Off, off, on. Wrong words there. And that one is just straight D7s, that last line there.
Tina,
Yeah, I've got all these typos on
I
there.
have a question about the first D7 showing there. Second line, A7, A7 sus2, D7. That looks like a G6.
Yeah, I think I put my dots in the wrong place.
Okay.
No, that is supposed to be a G6, sir. Thank you,
Oh,
Shirley. Oh, lots of typos. Yeah, that.
G6. Should be a G6 then.
Yeah, and therefore this line down here should be a G6 too. I'm sorry about that, you guys. Oh, didn't have enough coffee, I don't think, or maybe too much. Yeah. I will fix that. You will get a refreshed version. Okay, let's scroll past that though, and I'll show you that we do have a fancy ending that I wanted to show you. Why is this beeping? I'll move that over there. Okay, so what happens after that is you play part 1 again, and then you play that intro vamp again. So I just said that. So basically you go back up to your first page and look at part 1 and play that, and then the intro vamp and play that. Then we've got this, which is just so much fun. I just want to walk you through it all. You make your G chord. I'm looking. Yeah, no, I did make it like a proper G chord. I'm going to stop sharing and just play it so that you can see what I'm doing, okay? So you've got your G chord, and you go like this. You go G, And you rest for 2 beats. And then you bring your finger up. Ring finger goes up to the 5th fret, so you're moving your G. What you're doing is you're playing on the dots. Look at that. So you got your G up to that 5th fret. Ring goes up to the 7th fret. And then this is where you can get fancy. Oop. I do I mute my strings and whatnot, but the whole idea here, like I've written it all out there and I'll show that to you, but you've got this. We'll just play the whole page so you know everything that's going on, and then we'll do it. That resting gives you time to move. Then you're going to bar across here, the 7th fret, but you just apply pressure 1 string at a time. So when I say that, like I put my finger down, there's no pressure down yet. I just put it down as I need it. And I can put this finger down as a buddy. So I want everyone to do this bar because it's kind of a pain at first. So across that 7th fret, okay. That makes an E minor 7. And if you're like, oh gosh, I can't get it down quite right, use your pinky or your middle finger as a buddy. That's fine. I often have kind of like that. Like I have my thumb not quite opposite. I thought I used to have it opposite, but I can tell you with that position, my thumb's turned a little bit just to accommodate, you know, where it's sitting. Put your thumb where you need to in order to help it apply pressure. Okay, here we go. And I just apply the pressure with my finger as I go. Like I don't feel like I gotta make it all really tight the whole way along, because that's exhausting. So they call it a floating bar in classical guitar. Just apply pressure when you need it, and then you get that however you get it. And then while you're there, now put a finger, I put a pinky finger on my 10th fret. I strum everything. That makes a G bar chord. That's where you can strum like crazy if you want. Try it out, strum like crazy. Yeah. And then come on down home to a regular G chord. Wacha. All right, so that's what's going on there. Now I'm going to show you that page again. For the fancy schmancy ending. Okay, so step 1, use a movable G chord shape. Play it on the 2nd fret like normal G. Okay, so my wording I feel like is a little bit not so good. Ring finger is on that 3rd fret when you make that G chord shape. Now I want you to move your chords so that your ring finger now sits on that 5th fret. No. I want you to erase what I've said. Put your index and middle finger on the 5th fret. I flipped keys. I think it's playing too many different instruments. See how these guys here are on your 2nd fret? Do it so that when you move, your index and middle do land on the dots. Yeah, index and middle on the 5th fret. Yeah, flipping keys. And then index and middle on the 7th. Yeah. And then index and middle on the 10th fret. The G chord, I have had so much fun with it because you can just move it wherever, right? All right, so let's do that We're going to walk through the whole thing. I'm going to play it with you guys. It's going to be nice and chill, but it's got such a cool sound when you do this. Okay, so your normal G. Okay, now move it so index and middle are on the dot, not your ring finger. And you strum there, so now you're on the 5th fret. Okay, you've got 2 beats. You move up to that 7th fret with your index and middle. Yeah. Okay, and now up to your 10th fret with your index and middle. So still hitting those dots. Nice. Now let's bar across that 7th fret. We don't worry about it being all perfect. We pluck one string at a time from the 4th to the 1st. Keep your bar there. Now put your pinky finger on your 10th fret. So you're barring on the 7th fret, pinky fingers on the 10th. Oh yeah. Okay, let's do it again. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm just going to, this will give me a chance to look at your hands a little better. Okay, here we go. So G, 5th fret, and those 2 beats give you a chance to move. 7th fret, okay, up to your 10th fret, so it's still just going for the dots. Yeah. Bar on your 7th fret, and as long as you got the first pressure on the 4th string to start it all off, you're golden. Here we go. 1. And then your chord. Now, you can end with this, you can end with this, end with this. Yeah, Diane?
Because of my issues with my hands, I do, let me see, where are we? Where do we do the D?
Are you talking about with the pinky finger, this?
No, I'm wondering, it's because I can only do it by barring the whole chord
Yeah.
and then extending my baby finger to the other one.
Yeah, now that D shape that you're doing there is totally golden. There's nothing wrong with doing that as opposed to D7. And in fact, that's the same shape that you can use to finish the song. You just take it up to your 7th fret.
Yeah, and because my the A string just won't ring out for me. I've tried everything when I bar chords, so.
Yeah, and sometimes it's very challenging, you know, like I used to have a heck of a time with it because I'd put my pinky finger down, but I wasn't able to apply enough pressure. You know, it felt kind of tippy and weird. So that's when I started putting down my pinky first and then reaching back, and that helped. But yeah, barring can be, how are the C and B chords for barring for you? Were you able to get those going?
Good.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that, yeah.
It's that our index finger is nice and strong.
It's
right?
right here.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't seem to, I've tried everything for the past 2 years and I just can't bar with that finger.
And if you can't, you can't, you know, and that's where
Yeah.
you just find a workaround, right? There's always
Yeah,
a
I
way.
can always do bar chords with my 4 fingers and then move the other finger up.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yep. You
Okay.
work for you. Yeah, right on. Now that second page that I've got of this, I'm going to rewrite it and put it back up because that's like I'm not too happy. It's kind of a hodgepodge that I put up for you guys. So I kind of glossed over it because I feel like the way it's written is a bit confusing. Let me just pull up my copy of Crazy G, and I'll show you what I normally use. I'm going to walk you through what I normally use so that you can see. And I'll post this up on the website because you might like looking at the tab like this instead. I just like having the chord names, you know, and thinking about that workshop, Barb, right? Where you memorize those chord names. This version does not have those chords, so I'll share it while I'm talking. If you did want to use this, I would recommend putting the chord names on there. Take it from the chord chart one that I've done up for you so that you can follow it. But you've got the vamp, right? And you can see you've got your G6, right? G6, G6, and then down to G diminished, G diminished. I do like on this one how you've got the down arrows and the up arrows. The part that I have not shown you because of the stretch, because I want you to get everything else down and then we'll tuck it in, is this number 2. They call it lick number 2 instead of like part number 2. I just thought I'd call it part number 2. But it is where you take a G chord, your standard G chord, and then you extend your pinky up to that 5th fret. And then you play with the 3rd fret. So it's a bit of a stretch, and we're going to address that separately, I think. But you can play the whole song without that and have it sound tickety-boo. So I'm going to go through it all now, and I'll tell you which part I'm at, just so you can hear it and then play along, right? Like, you know, the vamp is G6, G diminished, D7, and then the fancy D7. And you know a lot of, you know, lick 1 or part 1. So let's just try it a little bit by looking at the tab. It won't be fast, so 1, 2, 3, 4 on the vamp. So G6, diminished, D7 with the fancy, then G6 again, diminished, D7, okay, and that covers that part. And then part number 1, we're back with now we're doing the G to G6 thing, right? Here we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, G6, G6, and you can see you're following that line right there. Oops, second line there, right? Because all the action there is all with that ring finger on that 2nd string. Let's start it again, and I won't do that again. 3, 4, G6, G6, on, off, on, G minor, 6, G minor, 6, on, off, on. Next line here, we're back to our G. Oops, with that 2nd string deal. Okay, here we go. G6, G6, D7, down, fancy. I think they got a little typo in there, but it's all good. Here we go, carry on. G minor, or G6, diminished, I think I flipped to a D7 in mine. There's a lot of different versions of this song, so you can follow along and be like, what? It's changed again. It's endless. Jake Shimabukuro, he's changed his to this. It's crazy what he does. Okay, this part 2, you still sit there with a G and a G minor, but all the action happens now on the 1st string. And when I first started playing this, my hand was so damaged that I couldn't unless I had a soprano. I could only play it on a soprano. It took a lot of work and a lot of time for my hand to come back from all the overplaying to be able to do this part, so I just played it without it, and it was okay. All right, so the thing is you got to sit with your regular G position. So I've got my G, and then pinky finger goes up to the 5th fret, and then slides to the 3rd fret, and back to a G. It sounds cool, but it's a bit of work. So G, pinky on the 5th fret, on the 3rd fret, that makes a G sus4, and back to G. And this sounds so neat. Then you do the same thing with G minor. And that stretch becomes a little bit stretchier. G minor, pinky up to the 5th fret. And you can lift off your index finger while you stretch though. G minor, up to that 5th fret. G minor, sus4, back to G minor. Up to the 5th fret, sus4. It's pretty wild, eh? I like how this song is written in chunks. You can put in the ones you want, pull them out if you don't want them. This is the G7 part here. I'll just scroll up a little bit so we're not looking at so G7, and then you can see that this is your C bar chord here, the 3, 3, 4 deal, and then down to a B on that 2nd fret. Reading the tab can be crazy at first because there's so much to look at, but you start to analyze it. Okay, so right here, I've got my G7. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. G7, sus2 with that ring finger off. G7, sus2, G7, off, on, up to my C. 1, 2, 3, 4, back to C. Next line is A7. So that's here now. A7. 1, 2, 3, 4 on A7, and then sus2, which is that ring finger down. D7. You know, part 1, that's the G and G6. We're back at that now. So you can play along, absolutely can. Part 1, G to G6. Here we go. G6, G6. So off, on, or sorry, on, off, on, off, on, G minor, G minor 6, G minor 6, on, off, on, off, on, back to G. That's the shape right here now. Sorry, it's on that 2nd string there, right? Here we go. G6, G6, D7, on. Now we've got this little bit here where we're coming back to we've got our G6, 1, 2, 3, diminished, back to D7. Sorry, G6. I did that in the PDF too, didn't I? I labeled it wrong there. Yeah, okay. Let's do this chunk again so that I have it stuck in my head right. Whoops, sorry. G6 right here to G diminished, back to G6. Here we go. G6. 2, 3, diminished, G6. Memorization. Yeah. All right. We've got the beginning part, right? G6, G diminished, D7. We can do that like a charm. Okay, let's do that. Here we go. G6, diminished, D7, off, on, again. G6, G diminished, D7. Yes. Now the crazy ending. I love it. So we've got just our G chord, rest, and while we're resting, we just move up, index and middle finger on the 5th fret, index and middle on the 7th fret, so we're just moving that G along, that G chord shape, up to your 10th fret. Yeah. And this whole thing here, this whole chunk here, sorry, that's just barring across your 7th fret. And you take your time. 7, 7, 7, 7. And that lines you up for making your G chord. And at the end, they do a bar on the, see how they've just barred on the 7 there? Oops. On the E minor 7, and they do a tremolo strum. I do like, I slide down a lot and end off on an open G. But it looks wacky, right? Without all the chord names, it looks like something you could never play. And you guys could all play it. It's just, you just got to label it up, and then it makes life easier. So, yeah. I'm going to stop sharing that one because it's... There. Okay, so in the end, I showed you that. I walked you through it because you do know how to play those chords. It's just being able to look at the tablature of these songs where there's so many chords and find the shape. So with that one, I'll post it that way so you can see what you're looking at with the chord shapes. Right, Kat? It's such a fun song. Oh my gosh. And if you get someone behind you playing a shaker while you're doing it, such a good time. You guys can all play it. Just looks wacky when you're looking at it. I think what I'll do is I'll go through it, I'll label it, I'll put all the chord names on it for you guys. And I'll double check them and then triple to make sure that I've actually got the proper chord names. I'll redo the PDF. I got lots of homework. It's good. It's good. I got lots of homework and lots of coffee. Oh, gosh. I feel like you're in a bit of the home stretch with this now. I mean, I know you've got the ending. You guys looked okay with doing it. So you've got the beginning. You've got the ending. There's parts 1, 2, 3. We're still going to ignore part 2 for a while because that's real stretchy. I want you guys to get really solid with part number 1 and then part number 3. And we'll tuck in that middle one when it does, you know, like when your fingers feel like they're ready. Good enough. And if they don't, that's okay too, because you can tell it sounds fine without it. So, or you can make up another part, even just write your own part. Why not? Okay, I'm going to stop recording this now. And yeah, this was fun. Oh, there it is.